我达摩是娑哈，我南无满洲西，南无梭西，南无我达摩是娑哈。也知道这个就那了，想就马都当地告诉其他给就年给别从那给，若他本节上给如把手。知道这个就那了，想就把都当地告诉其他给就年给别从那给，若他本节上给如把手。知道这个就那了，想就把都当地告诉其他给就年给别从那给，若他本节上给如把手。这个就是没多长，你让灵犀一点点把些上给许多面对我也这个难大心了就把手，我若让他们拿拉干的呀大呀。Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but for numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind of sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering, due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness, but suffering. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind of sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind of sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of excellent happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and causes of excellent happiness. Or cause them to have excellent happiness and the causes of and its causes. Ama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if the bodies of all suffering mother sentient beings, free from the entire class discordant with conflicting virtue, such as pain, sickness, and harms caused by 4 elements. May they be free from the entire discordant class. I will free their bodies from the entire class. entire discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the entire class discordant with a conflicting virtue, such as fear, and all coarse and subtle negative discursive thoughts. May their minds be free from the entire discordant class. Or free their minds from the entire discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the entire class discordant with conflicting virtue. That is, all coarse and subtle negative speech, such as lying. May their speech be free from the entire discordant class. I will free their speech from the entire discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the entire class discordant with a conflicting virtue. May their three doors be free from the entire discordant class. I will free their three doors from the entire discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtue. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. Our freedom from all suffering and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
因为就是多人的这个去活的也是个多人的，就是个不年了，或者当地那个长大这个手机是不放的，不放。你的问题不是个手机呢，有手机通讯的手机是公共的，就真的他想，我都是没把这个处理去生活。
Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and all realms? I should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms. Even though I should take on the responsibility, I do not have the ability now to place them on the state of enlightenment. Then who has such ability? Only those who have achieved the perfectly complete enlightenment, the state of complete perfect enlightenment, have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
有些事情，他就觉得手机公放到个小，那个社会上发展的人跟你个他一起，他把这个觉得就是那个，我们他的社会觉得就是平常长期写的，有一点，而且可能这个能把觉得就是在就是没法去的，他们那个神经元是。
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, the aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These transform into the aspect of a complete moonbeams at once. Ultimate bodhicitta, that is, one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness. All phenomena lack inherent existence. That transform into the aspect of a white five-pronged vajra on top of the moonbeams.
有的事情，他就这个手机公放到个小，你就是他根本就去生活，我，那他朋友说你这个我记得多了。下头的顶级记得多，下头的顶级记得多，把骗子的单位上去了，把我们的去，到经济界的去，结果真的没得了，在现在趋势，那个而且他的这个建立的，啊，这个就是老朋友说记得有上是。
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one. If they were inherently one, they would necessarily become partless one. If they were partless one, they are following false. It will be pointless to assert a self. The self would become many. The self was subject to production and disintegration. It would be unreasonable to remember past lives. karma one has done would go wasted. One would meet with karma one has not done. Therefore, the self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one. The self and the aggregates also do not exist as inherently different. If they were inherently different, they would necessarily become unrelatedly other. Therefore, the self and the aggregates also do not exist as inherently different. The self is empty of inherent existence. As I always say, it is very important to conjoin the roots of virtue of our three doors with the practice of six perfections. Thus, to conjoin these roots of virtue with the practice of six perfections is as follows. The first one is generosity. The nature of generosity is the minds of giving. These roots of these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma is for the sake of attaining happiness, accomplishing happiness, and purifying sufferings of all sentient beings. If I'm able to cause these minds of giving to manifest while engaging in these roots of virtue, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of generosity. Next is morality. The nature of morality is the minds of abandonment. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal misdeeds without letting them manifest. If I'm able to cause these minds of abandonment to manifest strongly, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of morality. Next is patience. The nature of patience is an undisturbed mind. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will patiently accept any physical and verbal shifts and difficulties. If I'm able to think in this way strongly, when when engaging in these roots of virtue, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of patience. Next is joyous effort. The nature of joyous effort is a mind enthusiastic for virtue. I will joyfully and enthusiastically engage in these roots of virtue of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma. If I'm able to think in this way, if I'm able to think in this way, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of joyous effort. Next is Next is concentration. The nature of concentration is a single-pointed mind with respect to any virtuous object. I will single-pointedly focus my mind on the virtuous object of listening, listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma. If I'm able to think in this way, then these roots of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of concentration. Last one is wisdom. The nature of wisdom is a knower that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will properly and unmistakenly understand the words and meanings of the Dharma that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on. If I'm able to engage in these roots of virtue, thinking in this way, then these roots of virtue we conjoin with the practice of wisdom. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teachings and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings. So previously we talked about 10 endowments. The 10 endowments is divided into two. The first group is personal endowments. The 5 personal endowments are human, born in a central land, complete powers, not having erred in extreme actions, or not having turned away from means of action, faith in the sources, the 5th one.
와, 나 봤을 때 양이 여사. 이라 제대로는 다른 데 유의를 지어네. 와, 용기에서는 진이 여사지다. 나 봤을 때 양이 여사들 이라 제대로이나 하나 유의 지어버려. 너니 이거 유의 지어봤어. 어디지? 뭐 저한테 지어 먹게 가지고.
So basically, five personal endowments means that these five qualities are possessed by oneself, or someone have endowed oneself has these five qualities. So these five personal endowments, the first one is human, and the second one is born in the central land. As I mentioned this last week, central land refers to a place where they are male and female fully ordained monks and male and female fully ordained. Sorry, they are fully ordained monks and nuns, and they are uh, uh, as the lay person, a male and female lay person, and they are listening. They are giving. Sorry, they are explaining and listening of the scriptures, Tipitakas, and they are practices and they are practices of three trainings, the path. So if one is born in such a place, then that place is called a central land.
我这到俺不从和他写毛路啊，学校里去见毛个是我没从，连到马路是吧？对对，连到马路开始去学校的，可听我的引起的觉得这个记有意思，你有意思的，连到多多了俺说，连到马路吧就过的也是，连到马路吧就过的是吧的，连到了俺都是讲的，连到是吧的，花水平啊，花期就牛们连的水平发的也是。可是是我是个他的生活的，我是个他的，可是他不晓得。
我研究利用设备塔咯，
我就是就，我就是就来的水平差，我就来的水平差点，那你的好吧的，来他把身上，我来到老晓得，因为上面是口上第一，上面是口上第一，
利用设备塔那就塔嘛咯，
他把对了，我也是，上面是口上就了哇。참여 시비 가서 되게 내 간다 참여 시비 가서 돼 간다 내진 타려 놓아 그래서 내가 놓아 그랬어 이 내가 놓아 된다도 가르쳐 된다도 마시오디 예 세들아 항상 그 아바 토바는 놓아 그랬어 내진 타 아바 토바 되려 놓아 그랬어 또 된다도 무슨 이 거다 인지기 지지랑 이제 먼저 유행해서 된다 그 상담을 와 저 상담을 되게 됐어
So the third one is complete powers. So since you all know about it, I will not go through it again. So regarding the fourth point of personal endowment, which is not having earth in extreme actions. So probably in English, there are two ways of translating these phrases. So not having earth in extreme action is one of the translation, and the second, as you can see on the text, and the second one is not having turned away from the aims of action, not having turned away from the extremes of action. So according to the second English translation, not having turned away from the aim of action. So the aim of action refers to the aim or refers to the final that has exhausted the karma, that has exhausted karma and afflictions, which are the causes to produce samsara, or which are the causes that produce samsara. So the final or the aim that has exhausted, the aim of having exhausted karma and afflictions, the causes that produce samsara refers to liberation. So the aim or the final of having exhausted karma and afflictions, the causes that produce samsara refers to liberation. So a person who has a person who has committed any of the five heinous actions, and that person is turned away. That person has turned away from the aims of action. Means that in these lives, it will be almost impossible for that person. So in this life, this person has already this person has turned away from achieving liberation. So means that in this life, that person has turned away from achieving liberation. So there are two English translations, and you can understand this phrase accordingly.
我等到理解成这个回答，哪些礼拜是我们内心哪些礼拜的，这然后都是说起来的。但他就来讲解，是吧？这样哪些礼拜都等到都是讲解的。我在有这个就当这点呢，一当的忙到有一些，这样大的三个帮的都是回来的，是吧？这个就当管理了呢，他这样机会，就是一直超过去的时候，700个了，他这个就当，他等到的都是三个帮的事。
那是吧？那是吧？So this explanations is mentioned in the Treasure of Knowledge and also in another text is called Namshijikpa. So even though the way of translating these phrases is different, however, you should understand the meaning as I mentioned just now. As I mentioned in the Treasure of Knowledge. Yeah. So faith in the sources. So faith in the sources means that having faith in the sources. So sources refer to Vinaya. Sources refer to Vinaya. So having faith in the sources, Vinaya, that produces wholesome qualities. That produces wholesome, worldly, and mundane and supramundane qualities. Sorry, I repeat. So having faith in the sources means that having faith in the sources, Vinaya, that produces mundane and supramundane wholesome qualities. So that is what it means by faith in the sources.
我刚才读念读是念了也不是念多了也不是小会了啊，俺读是我得了印象，那你念读是我的我们去算的，念读的是我的了，东岸读的牛读是印象，东岸读你把东岸有了，有啊，东岸读，东岸读的，
读啊，那得被恰的读啊，是的，
读，但是这种不过去，读这全部过来噻，军多的东西，军多，他们对军多的，军多的了，东岸多的，牛多是印象，
东岸读啊，
东岸，他的北部读啊，我可能就我是给那东岸，你这东岸读啊，东岸多的牛多是印象，很多是。我就想多有了，我说的什么，东岸多的牛多是你想的，
你读啊，那读啊，他是可以，
这这
他说了，
我是别的喜欢，我是别的喜欢，今天，我是我的了，东岸多的牛多是你想的也是，那种喜欢。
So faith in the sources, then sources refer to Vinaya, right? So Vinaya, etymology of Vinaya, there are two. So the first one is taming. Taming the transgression. And the second one is taming the afflictions. So Vinaya, there are two etymological explanations. The first one is taming the transgressions or downfall. And the second one is taming the afflictions.
我对多少我都很多嘛，现在多少的我都西进多，我就万多的牛多啊些，你的这听着记得都是想我的。
那多啊，那得看多哦。
多看多的，万多的牛多啊些，你了也是。我对的嘛，你们讲话，我是看多，就像你了我记得， 我是我的，我的我的永和的，心里有点点有也是多少。
呢tua se ate ini te sa ta cha chiba chikan ya yun na yang ini te dewe te no te samota yo ma le thön samota
我记过了，那个多怎么搞？那多了对吧？多是吧？对吧？我多的永多这个。
Yeah, so here it says the sources is Vinaya. Then, however, in this context, then you shouldn't understand, it doesn't refer to the Vinaya Taka. So here, when it says Vinaya, from the etymology point of view, there are two. One is taming the transgressions of downfall, and the second one is taming the afflictions.
那你的想法啊？多是呢，东岸多的，你们多的，经济就多。那东岸的人呢，看的是东岸的人的民族啊，是东岸的人的哦。那东岸的多的是那东岸的人的，但对人的也是东岸的人的。东岸对人的。东岸多，他们多是吧？东岸多的啊，你们多，你晓得吧？那东岸对人的是晓得的，那东岸多的是那不是么呢？人的数目搞起来呢，对人的也是相对人的。东岸对人的，人对人的也相对是。东岸对人的，可能对人的。那你们对人的，可能是呢，很多的人呢，你比人的相对也是。OK，我们多啊，说的嘛说。东岸多的，你们多啊，是你想说啊？多啊说对。他东岸的人的可下个是人对人的也相对是。东岸的人的，哇，东岸的人的对人的。那你们对人的可是有的人的，你比人的。刚刚是人的说的话，人的说，我都是想的，那家了。
So having faith in the sources and sources refer to Vinaya. So even though we don't, it doesn't immediately shows that Vinaya refers to the Vinaya. So however, then from the etymology point of view, this Vinaya can be divided into two, right? So the first one is taming the transgressions or downfall, and the second one is taming afflictions. So then from this point of view, from etymology point of view, so the Pitaka that tames the transgressions or downfalls, then refers to the Vinaya Pitaka. So out of the three Pitaka, then the Pitaka that tames the transgressions or downfalls is the Vinaya Pitaka. And then the Pitakas that tame afflictions, then the Pitakas refers to Sutra Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka.
多了铁棒是呢，人家送给铁棒的瞎说，你人家来对吧？人家来对吧？你比人家来铁棒而且，那铁棒多的很多啊，多。我们人多了铁棒是在这里面，那人多了铁棒是我说，人多啊是多啊是的，等的不是不是说是，等的不是，东岸多，人多是一场也是，东岸的人家的卡了是，东岸的人家卡了铁棒去不啊？铁棒开始东岸的人家没点的。너무 되게 어디 되는 데 너무 되네. 되는 수 없이 와 너도 싫어. 되는 수 그래서 나도.
And so if you look at the words, faith in the sources and faith and the sources refers to Vinaya, right? So it doesn't about three Pitakas altogether. It seems like it only refers to Vinaya. So however, as I mentioned just now, from the etymology point of view, this word Vinaya can be divided into two, right? From etymology point of view. And one is taming the transgressions or downfall, and then the second one is taming the afflictions. Then the Pitaka that tames the transgressions or downfall is the Vinaya Pitaka, and the Pitakas that tame afflictions are the Sutra Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka. So then then you will understand that when it says faith in the sources, basically it means faith in the three Pitakas. So this is how your understanding of sources refers to Tripitaka is derived from.
问题是，我这点的，我也当然让就话的个出来个这些话，当然就话的都是差不多。第二个是话的，我都经常俺就对了，我说过的什么说，工作了对吧？连的了对吧？第二讲的话，理由我就不过了的，我说对吧？是如果是今天送了马车的话，今天送的，今天送了对吧？马车工作了对吧？连了对吧？我你去地方多了对吧？是，我都是想的，对吧？这都是成本的解决。
And he says faith. So faith in the sources, not only it refers to having faith in the Tripitakas, the word faith can also understand as having faith in the three jewels, having faith in karmic cause and effect, and can also be applied to faith, uh, can also apply to having faith in the objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment in relation to four truths.
好的，我是第一就是在群众啊领导，那他我反正我的第几个群众啊的第三量上级觉得感觉点把点的这个学习的只要是这几个话，这不同的点的话，我觉得群众啊的上级觉得两个人嘛，对吧？其实我的小我知道，我说群众啊嘛，教的上级觉得两个人嘛，对吧？上级是第我觉得上级觉吧。现在当前上级觉得当前点把念法的，第一件事，必须得教我是，点俺多啊，我上级觉得当前点把念法，第一件事就把，必须得教啊，不俺什么长干个也是哇。
So then the second groups of endowments are the five endowments, is the five endowments based on others. So the five endowments based on others refer to the Buddha has come, the first one. The second one called the excellent Dharma. The second one. The third one, the teachings remain. The third one. And people subsequently engage in them. This is the fourth one. And others have thoughts of mercy. So this is the these are the five endowments based on others.
我听说，他上级经理说的，上级经理他两个人嘛，对吧？等起不的，那时候他当不得了，上级经理两个人嘛，对吧？去，我当不得去，那上级是第一年就决定，他讲他当不协会的，他讲是的，那俺多啊，那俺的其他俺是单单的，人家说我是长腿啊，对要嘛，人家做嘛，这个不是只能成为还得强啥，是吧？也是嘛，那些我都来成为，我说的搞吧，是吧？成为对吧？我行动啊，当不行动啊，当不行动，好吧？
是的，我成我嘛的。
我经常我现在成为嘛，因为现在经济经上点大大，有的就是听不进生活，那么长的起步啊。
So even though we talk about these five endowments based on others, so first four, the Buddhas has come, taught the excellent Dharma, the teachings remain, and people subsequently engage in them. So not necessarily that we have directly have these first 4 points of these first 4 endowments. So because not even Nagarjuna possessed the 5 endowments based on others as well. So Buddha had come. So Buddha has come also means that Buddha has come and not passed into Nirvana. So the Buddha has come means that the Buddha has come into the world and has not passed into Nirvana. So if you think in this way, then not even Nagarjuna possess these 5 endowments. So even though they possess fully possess 5 endowments, and however through thinking in different way, then we do have these endowments.
那经常听到当不起的，我们录音那从我们时候平时搞的是呢，别的搞的是呢话，我的本来的话，上进决定了，学习，那上进决定了，别的学校比高级了，就别的习惯，所以你看，学校的话，上进决定了，就比高是别家呢，等这个上进决定是呢是拍吧，有吧去了，那上进去决定的搞赢吧，就是话，你决定的呗，那时候呢上进去就搞了，别人别不拖这个赢。是吧？那这上去我们决定了，决定了必须我那个的。
也是所以两年前的，
我去年前我的，但那个从我们路到过来，我是中午买的时候，人家听的话，弟弟，必须得看到上去决定了， 되지. 샤 유비가 상제 지들라 빼네 샤 유비 갑지라 빼시고. 와 상제 지들라 빼네 샤 유비 갑지라. 뭐 시도와 예시대. 아무 되지라고.
취됩니까? 예, 취냐면 진.
상제 지들라 뭐 스펙가 이거지. 해봐 맞지 상제기 취대비가 되지. 그 상제기 취대비 가서 내부터 가자 이거 되지 요같이. 뭐 내부 마토나 나라야 휴네 상제 슈비가라. 나라 휴네 가서 이제 이 피다사요. 이 피다사요 되지.
람라 슝에.
라와 휴네 가서 이제 이 피다사가 똑바지라 지네. 간다 가서 시다 피다사 되지와. 뭐 되지. 상제 슈비가피라. 나도 샤 슈비가피라 샤니. 그 시험을 와. 샤 되지 시험을 때가 좀 벌을 따고 소리를 그래서
Because when we talk about these first four endowments, the Buddha has come and taught the excellent Dharma, the teachings remain, and people subsequently engage in them. So, why do we say that even Nagarjuna didn't possess the actual first four endowments or directly possess the first four endowments? Because when we talk about the first four endowments, Buddha has come. So means that Buddha refers to the time Buddha has come to the world, and while Buddha has to remain in the world. So the Buddha has come, and while Buddha was remaining in the world, taught the excellent Dharma, and those followers are practicing the Dharma, achieve results of nirvana, and they are those who enter the path. They are those models. They are those.
상제 지들라 이제 다 상제로와 맞아 디시 나와 그 상제 해봐 가서 상제 최고의 때마치 우리가 땡을 때마치 그 상제 샤 유디지 그런 최고의 시비다 그 상제 때마치 뭐냐 아니야 사회샤 비교가 뭐 뭐냐 말아 비기라 스파디
템바 샤슈비가
템바 샤 유디지 가비 최고 이거 이 때문에 뭐냐 이거 때문에 뭐냐 because 스파디로와 그 시바를 출퇴마나 때문에 그 사람이 출퇴마기는 사람들한테 내부터 내부터디 가서 매마 그냥 내부터 또봐 대통이 내부터 봐야 세진 통 예시대 이게 통한 내부터 봐 대지시 이제 신다야 이제 신다야 때문에 아마 들어가 시간
先以见切的
그 상징 출퇴마 된다는 제부 멤버들이 제부터 봐야 봐 제부터 봐야 봐 통이 이 제시대 이제 신다야 세진 때문에 때문에 좋아 멤버들 뒤로 봐 뭐 되지 시험다 이거 되시 좋아 그래서 우리 슈디가 배시보다 와
Yeah. So the Buddha has come. So Buddha has come means that the Buddha has come, and while he was remaining in the world, and then taught the excellent Dharma means that Buddha directly taught the excellent Dharma. Yeah, directly or explicitly taught the excellent Dharma. And then the teachings remain means that so while Buddha was remaining in the world, the teachings remain, right? So the teachings remain without degeneration, and people subsequently engage in them means that having seen that they are beings who practicing the Dharma taught by Buddha and attain the result of Nirvana, then those disciples entered the teachings or engaged in the Dharma. So that is what it means by people subsequently engage in them. So people having seen those achievers of the result of Nirvana, then and subsequently engage in teaching. So Buddha has come means that Buddha has come, and while remaining in the world, explicitly taught the excellent Dharma, the second point. And then while Buddha was remaining in the world and explicitly taught the excellent Dharma, the teachings remain without degeneration. And having seen that those who achieve the result of Nirvana, subsequently others subsequently engage in the teaching. So these are the first four endowments.
第十个这个是上级学处理，个是白相的修罗啊。对的，地方上都上级的，也是他们说，新疆话的对的不得说，对的地方上头的是，当不人唱的讲，当不人讲说上级一定来陪我这个话的话，上级一定来陪我，点唱就是点唱的，还是在经地方唱的，上级一定来陪我的在，因为签订就也先陪的，有的时候，哇，对对的，错嘛，
那个几天陪吧，
我上级一定来陪我是吧？也当到啊，完了确定就微信里就陪的，也是
确定嘅，
确定微信里有。微信里陪我，微信里陪我生活咯。不对。
So it refers to the time when Buddha was remaining in the world, right? So we do not have the actual first four endowments. However, thinking from another perspective means that if we think about the approximate endowments, proximate to these first four endowments, then we do have the first four endowments from the approximate point of view. So it means that we do not have the actual one, but we have something like it, or we have something approximate to it. So the first point is Buddha has come. So even though we do not have the actual first endowment based on others, which is Buddha has come, but we have the approximate one, which is the spiritual friends who teach us Dharma has come.
那上级就给了陪伴那个，让他去那个微信里陪伴是个，我对吧？哇，是的。那上级就就别是的话，上级确定把它给你修过的话，那别单着我，我说，别单着我，上级确定把它这，微信里给让我确定，是吧？上级给确定把它这微信里就让他确定不了，是吧？确定不了，这样子也是。
So approximate also means similar to the endowments based on others. So the second one is taught the excellent Dharma. So taught the excellent Dharma, then we have the similar or approximate one is spiritual friends teaches Dharma. Teaches Dharma.
是吧？那松巴的的，那松巴的看到上级就了，这个是我的点把的马娘把去过了哇，这个确定的。点把的马娘把的哇，那点到的话，然后上级的话，微信里给你讨论给你，过去点把的马娘把你，
有一些人
确定去，确定把点名到哪里，点把点把的马娘，
那就浪边
点把的马娘没发生，
飲數冷你，弄多嘅點吧，咩吧，或者吧。
当我的什么点到什么这个点把的马娘的面吧，是我的话。
Then the approximate to the third endowment based on others, which is the teachings remain, is spiritual friends teaches Dharma, and by practicing it, the scriptural and realizational teachings remains without degeneration. So the teachings remain means that the teachings remain without degeneration. So we have the approximate endowment based on others, which is the spiritual friends teaches the spiritual friend teaches the Dharma, and by practicing it, the scriptural and the realizational teachings remain without degeneration.
那习惯的话，那习惯的看到，那上级给确定把了定的，是吧？习惯的上级给确定把定的，刚才没把看到，你别说吧，你这不说吧，你要把会见习的对比下也变把人就把要把20的话，一般的话，那上级定的到位，让他确定的，微信让个微信就让他确定的，确定把了定的大方向，微信就让他确定把了定的，刚才些明白，别不说吧，要把这第一见习对下去，变把人就要把。
那叫新人啦，去了店里，去店里。
我去店里呢，刚才没把做，没把做吧，对，见习的对下去变把人就要。
地不通的，看上面包呀，那看上咸。
刚才写了呢，就是刚才现在就了解这个了解的。
看上咸地不通的，点把来做吧咯。 So similarly, we have the approximate endowment based on the fourth endowment based on others, which is people subsequently engage in them. So having spiritual friends having taught us Dharma and others seeing seeing the students or seeing us attaining the result, and they subsequently engage in the teaching or engage in the Dharma. So I repeat, spiritual friends having taught us Dharma and through us achieving the results, others see it and subsequently engage in the Dharma.
我的习题了哇，刚到新中国的爸爸是吧？说经济个人了，所以去中国了，是经济对吧？对吧？是那个你自己的话，经济对吧？对吧？去这个经济这对吧？那谁给弄去了什么事的话？这理由的话。
Yeah. So the people subsequently engage in them means as spiritual friends having taught us Dharma and having seen that they are achievers of results, others engage in the Dharma. Yeah, having seen that they are achievers of the results, other being engaged in the Dharma. So then the last one is others have hearts of mercy. So basically, if others have hearts of mercy is the conducive conditions for accomplishing Dharma. So basically, those conducive conditions of accomplishing Dharma means that there are those who provide clothing, foods, and as it the objects of enjoyments, objects to be utilized.
我这个看到去这个让中国的新中国到去这个是吧？看到让了这个经济，让中经济了，刚到新了经济了，这个是在就哪些是吧？
懂的。
让了这个吧了，是吧？让了这个吧就是吧？我在经济这边呢，新了边条件情况，让你去这个让听说我的进厂条件的，那些小伙子新了厂条件厂没对吧？呢，让了边呢。자칫장소 상황도 누구요? 그렇지 지금 배 샤바이나 순간 당로 가서 배 스스로 뭐야 잘라서 봐. 스스로 뭐야 잘라서 면도 뭐야나. 앞에나 먼저 또 가봐라 보지나. 스스로 뭐야 지금 배제 땅 뭐야 지여바이나. 아 순간나 순간 지는 뭐이나. 스스로 되나. 잘라디 스스로 뭐야 여바자니 누구요? 스스로 여바디 하나 여바자니 누구요? 이게 순간 되는 나도 가봐야 여고. 그건 이야기야. 맨날 가서 이야기해 봐. 뭐야 배우야 봐. 뭐야 배우야 봐. 나는 아니 그 한번 더 보지 누가라. 아마 되게 빈죠. 봐봐마다 신이 신기 집에 유라 요구비 요구가 되고 그런다. 그 요구. 신이 된게 안다 그래서 내가 이나 신경 취난다 저래라. 그 그거로 가져가다 기존가 뭐야.
Yeah. So others have hearts of mercy means that they are those who provide food, clothing, and instead of using the word objects of enjoyment, probably is better to use the word necessities. So, so five personal endowments and 5 endowments based on others. So basically, 5 endowments refer to those endowments that must be possessed by oneself, and 5 endowments based on others refers to those endowments possessed by others or based on others. And we must have these 10 endowments, 5 personal endowments and 5 endowments based on others, because if you only have if you only have the 5 personal endowments and lacking the 5 endowments based on others, then still it is incomplete. So to give you an easy example is, if you want to buy something, so if you want to buy something, for example, if you want to buy a handphone, then you have the money. So you have the complete personal endowments that you want to buy. You have the money to buy a new handphone, then you go to a shop. Then there must be someone selling the handphone. So if there is no one selling the handphones, even if you have the money to buy it, still you will not be able to get one. So that is why 5 personal endowments and 5 endowments based on others must be complete, must be present.
那去弄的就主播来讲说，我记得如果正常我的是等到这的，我记得是在话，那去弄的就主播了，我记得就过正常我的就中国的， 那去那么多吧，就现在大家上去就恐怕偷对呀的，那对呀，你个有的是吧？那我是对吧？老师吧，对，下动卡里结果呢，结果呢是吧？下动到初生呢，卡里去啥呢？啥图的是，对的，我说你个有是，到我进去把这种电器把你去做这里，得讲到确实当然，帮我的也是等的是吧？
Yeah, so if one has to complete, in order to practice Dharma purely, in order to practice Dharma purely for the sake of achieving the state of enlightenment in one lifetime, then one must have the complete 8 pleasures and 10 endowments. So, and on this basis, one engage in accumulations of merit and purifications of negativities and obscurations. Then one will be able, one has the ability to achieve the state of enlightenment in one lifetime. And these must be based on the basis with complete 8 pleasures and 10 endowments.
当然是，去中介是到我研究，我就是去中介是吧？那中介的看到看中，那个我有个人从高我学的，那是我从高了嘛是，我有个人从高，就有个人入高，别个人你高是在点算，是吧？
我有个人
我有个人从高是吧？从高啊，长春那不是从我有个人从高啊，有一个人入高啊，入高啊，别个人你高啊。那个嘛，那等于就是他多嘛，多去学是吧？
那样呢？我那啥呢？
慢慢，
那吧，
那个，反正那，
So these 8 leisures and 10 endowments, so in totaling 18 qualities. So from in terms of entity is very difficult to gather, and in terms of cause it is difficult to accomplish. In terms of analogy or in terms of example, is very difficult to obtain. So regarding these 18 qualities, which are 8 leisures and 10 endowments, in terms of entity is difficult to gather. In terms of cause is difficult to accomplish. In terms of analogy is difficult to obtain.
当我有个人可能从高啊是听到的，反正我有个人我是不记不得，但人生这一呢，弟子来老婆的，在墙上等的是做个呢，刚才搞我学到的也是是吧？我说人生的也给来老婆呢，弟子说老婆因为呢，是吧？在墙上等的，有点了创个的，那好像我有个人我搞我学到的也是吧？是吧？我也是吧，在墙上就来老婆的不到，就就结果墙上就中过的。
In terms of entity is difficult to gather. So these 18 qualities, if you say, few qualities, then is easy to gather, right? It's easy to gather. So however, to gather all 18 qualities one time, then it will be difficult to gather.
那就有个人我说，就个问题，那就搞啊，是啊是，我说就大家这个都几个点唱下来呀，就修读看到吧？也唱下来，并且就修读过的，就多多的话就嘛，希望呢，我说当初去电商部的你做完了，我这里那么大的洗洗生活的是的，这里那么大的写生活是的，不给就我们这里老师嘛，那我说弄把早晚的，全能的就是话，我说这里那么大。这里那么当初是电商部的拖把了，电商部的拖把了，这里那么大的吸收了我吧，这里那么大把生活的看到，那我说，东巴练嘛，说到就东巴老师吧，这里东巴去年，练嘛你们进呢，看到没给基本给自己说嘛就我也是看到的吧，是吧？没给基本给自己就马上呢，电商部的就拖嘛也是，东巴让成为了，那说到就东巴的我都老师吧，这里东巴让成就今天呢。东北都是的门高，东北都是的门高，你不是呢，朗萨或者小了我小东结巴的，你自己的送啊，你去过的没事我，是吧？我等你去过的是，也把过的是我，那自己能把他们吸收出来。
And in terms of cause is difficult to accomplish means that in order, so we need to accomplish these causes of 18 qualities, right? So and like for example, in order to obtain this precious human rebirth, we must have the basis, which is pure morality. So a pure morality means that if a person do not possess any individual liberation vow, for example, then that person must at least keep the morality of abandoning 10 non-virtues. So refers to those who have who possess vow. For example, one has taken a Bodhisattva vows, then one must not transgress the Bodhisattva vows that one has already taken. And in case if it's transgressed, one should quickly restore it, purify it and restore it. So that is, so this point itself that one must have the basis, which is a pure morality, is a cause to obtain a precious human rebirth. So this cause itself is difficult to accomplish. And it must be conjoined with the practice of 6 perfections, such as generosity, as we mentioned, as we meditate on, or trying to cultivate at the beginning of the class. And it must be connected with a stainless prayer, aspirational prayer. So we might be thinking that this stainless prayer can be quite easy. So, however, if we do not think about it properly, then it can be very difficult. Because when we talk about stainless prayer, so stainless prayer refers to prayer that is not stained by a prayer that is not stained by attachment, clinging to these lives. So that is the least requirement for it to become a stainless prayer. So it means that a prayer that is not stained by attachment, clinging to this life's happiness. That is the least requirement for it to become a stainless prayer. So if we do not think about it properly, then this stainless prayer can be very difficult to establish as well. Like for example, when we make a prayer, or when we do dedications, and naturally, or we have this tendency to think about my own happiness. It can be the happiness of my family, the happiness of my relatives, or my dear ones. So if someone if someone have not studied Dharma before, then most probably will think about it. Then those who have studied Dharma before, they have this tendency to think in this direction, thinking about the happiness of oneself, family, and relatives. So don't mention those who have not studied Dharma before. So when we make prayer or when we do dedications, then we must make prayer or dedicate in this way for the sake of all sentient beings, for their sake of achieving the liberations and the state of omniscience. Then then you engage in the roots of virtue. So if you make prayer in this way or dedicate in this way for the sake of all sentient beings, for them to achieve the state of enlightenment and omniscience, then when you say all sentient beings, then this has already included yourself, has already included your family, has already included your relatives or the dear ones. So not only that it already included all other sentient beings, oneself and others, then it also becomes it also makes your prayers and dedications become even more powerful. Why is it more powerful? Is because it is conjoined with bodhicitta.
我的他背过的那个，但我是举过的，就搞是谁吧？背过的那个我知道，背过的那个他说，上去酒店的去，他身体他给什么的，这个可能对起一个的是吧？都全是给怎么了？对起那里，你就忙个这个，三千多对的忙个这是比如那个不是给这比如没什么多的是吧？那个，全是给对的忙个了，三千多对的忙，这忙起来他不强求是吧？他的三千多对的忙也是吧？
And in terms of analogy, it is difficult to obtain. Then at one time, then Buddha Shakyamuni asked asked the monks, so is the dust or is the dust on the tip of my fingernails more or the dust of the great earth more? Which dust is more? Yeah, which dust, is the dust on my at the tip of my fingernails more or the dust of the great earths more? So obviously the dust of the great earths is more, right?
他的主到的，他三千多的忙个也是的，六个啊，两个了。他三千多的忙是别的嘛是得着，他我说年度的年度节的，那查询的节目东西，他给什么的年度呢？年度节有了，但年度的切片的话，年度的切片的计划就浪过的话，那计划就马上把多少给要么的话，计划就让年度的切片的，年度的也计划的，他给什么东西也是。年度的嘛，计划的三千多的东西也是他，是吧？三千多的东西，那第二个东西年度的嘛，切片吧，那呀年度的计划的，他是个东西能用，呀年度的嘛，切片的，这就年度了嘛，计划的是，是吧？三千多的东西，那别的少了吧？你背的那个。
So obviously the answer is that the dust of the great earths is more. So so what it means is, if a person dies, if sentient beings dies and then transfer to another sentient beings dies and then take rebirth, right? So if a person dies in a realm and take rebirth in if sentient beings die in the misery realm and take rebirth in the happy realm, then it will be like the dust on the tip of the fingernails. If sentient beings die in miserable realm and take rebirth in miserable realm, then it will be like the dust of the great earth. Sentient beings die in happy realm and take rebirth in happy realm, then it will be like the dust of the at the tip of the fingernail. And sentient beings die in happy realm and take rebirth in miserable realm, it will be like the dust, the great earth. So then this is is why he says that it is, in terms of analogy, is difficult to obtain.
那都是蒙那个见到的开始的是吧？对，那是年度计划了，它是个什么东西？年全是个差个项目是个东西是吧？年度计划了，他讲年度，这年度嘛计划了，他定的目标，你的开口的是，以前的开的是我是上网当兵是吧？上网开当兵，那我这边学校的小中学的，那叫语文啊，我那人多学中学是吧？我这那读读升学的怕有是吧？有些我这你没得了，当然学中给语文了。 那起码就是了，让你的了，没那么大呢，当我是去弄到主要的被海上运动很多，把是去就如果你呢，有的东西就是个参去主要的，你要点的原因，永远就是参是吧？参真的，我们也会讲白呢，然后我也是写了练嘛，对吧？我是我是讲白呢，然后我没啷个的，然后也不讲嘛，对吧？让经济学了对，是吧？哦，现在往的对。我的等这个永远有就这边呢，永远就是参考，而且啊，去到满这边小啊，一定看的，把去到满这边小啊，一定不晓得把看的那个，永远就是参考，结果的啊，是这个，那个现在去到满这边去，台湾对吧也吧，对吧？我现在被休假吧，刚来接的接头啊，啊，录的了，被历史上去，历史上去，或者说参考去。那等于就见忙不上了的，那个是下生给自己的的事情的被下的，不是很多的。
So why do we say that sentient beings die in miserable realms and are reborn in happy realms? And those sentient beings die in happy realm and take rebirth in happy realm again, or very little, just as the dust on at the tip of the fingernails. And those and sentient beings die in miserable realm and reborn in miserable realm, and sentient beings die in happy realm and reborn in miserable realm are much more like the dust of the great earths. Then we have to think about it, why there is such a difference in term, why there is a difference, huge difference in number. And the reason is because when we talk about sentient beings, so leave alone animal beings, just human beings itself, they are very little number of persons who practice Dharma. Dharma practitioners are very little, right? So because of this, then so this is the reason why, because there are very little number of practitioner, Dharma practitioner. So because of this, then results in the consequence results how's it cause the consequences as I mentioned just now. And even if we talk about Dharma practitioner, among these small group of Dharma practitioners, and even the number of good Dharma practitioner means that those practitioners who practice Dharma properly or well, the number of it is even even smaller. So when we talk about practicing Dharma properly, then you must have the complete three phases: preparation, actual session, and a conclusion as well. So most sometimes when we engage in the roots of virtue, then that roots of virtue is incomplete of these three phases, or even if it's complete with these three phases, however, the three phases are not of good quality, means that we do not set a good motivation, or the motivation is not good enough, or even if we have a good motivation, we do not properly engage in the actual session. Even if we engage in the session properly, we do not end it properly, or we do not have good conclusion, means that when we do the dedications, then that dedication is overpowered by self-nourishing thought, or overpowered by wishing for this life's happiness. So even if you have the complete three phases, however, that three phases are not those three phases are not of good quality, are not a good quality one. And as compared to virtues, or as compared to Dharma practices, when we engage in negative action, misdeed, when we create negativity, then most of the time we have these complete three phases. We have the motivation to kill a mosquito, which I mentioned before. Then we kill it, and then we end it, or we conclude it with a thought thinking that that is it went well. So it's very easy to engage in negativities. So because of this, that's why the difference in number of sentient beings being born in hell, in miserable realm and in happy realm.
我他等就是那个说把自己的可能一些弄不来他吧，那第三个当过的嘛，这被把那个定义，然后就不正常的，还在里边的这些年糕啊， 就我也过的多高，别过的那高，是吧？我多高，最过的多高，别过的那高啊。然后等这个旅店的，一个人都不能差，我这这个一个人都不少的，那我都没啷不要不结婚呢，现在了，哎，我忘记了，肯定有那个，那个都要的等你，弄不理解是吧？我等的是，那要不然呢，得来好把的情况都对的，得弄不理解，啊，这现在了呗，忘记。你要不另外情况都最起码那点要嘛也是，是吧？那俺做店的菜的了嘛，这个明白，最起码把它统计进来，我们也明白，菜的了，他把它统计进来也明白也是，对的，他这样早情况的，早情况说着对的，你早情况你的确实的忙着，确实干嘛呢？确实的忙着，情况都上，那得说的，是理解过的，这情况全部有的时候是这么的确的了。但底层的确实不是吧？这几个我这底层的，那就有的底层是我的生理跟把的生活了，底层的谁跟多少昨天给好嘛他，底层打的话多少底层有啥的话，是吧？你我做老的基本吧，我做老的我去啊列车呢，老俺就那我列车呢，那这样这实际写不出来给好嘛了，那电脑去。
That's why we must think about these 8 leisures and 10 endowments totaling 18 qualities. Think about it from the point of view of its entity, from the point of view of its causes, from its cause, and from the point of view of analogy, or in terms of analogy, that it is difficult to gather, it is difficult to accomplish, and it is difficult to obtain. So, and these precious human above possess these 18 qualities, then must not be wasted. So, and this precious human above is said to be even more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel. So there is a type of jewel called a wish fulfilling jewel that you can that you will fulfill your wishes. For example, if you wish for wealth in these lives and etc., then food, wealth, and jewels and etc., then it fulfills your wishes. There is a type of jewel. It's called wish fulfilling jewel, and how even though it can fulfill your wishes in these lives, is unable to fulfill your wishes in next lives or in future lives. Why do we say that precious human rebirth is more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel? Is because not only not only that this body, this precious human rebirth enables you upon this and not only that this precious human rebirth upon which enables you to achieve the state of enlightenment in future lives is is capable to upon which then you are able to achieve the state of enlightenment in these lives. So don't mention not only that it can helps you to achieve the state of enlightenment. Not only that this precious human rebirth upon which you can achieve the state of enlightenment in future lives, you can achieve the state of enlightenment in this life itself. So therefore, this precious human rebirth is so precious that you shouldn't wait a second, shouldn't waste a minute, shouldn't waste a second. So because if a second is wasted, then you can no longer get it back. Just like if you are 50 this year, then you cannot be 49 again, right? Just like this. Therefore, you should cherish your precious human rebirth and shouldn't even waste a second.
因为这里是当然都被学到的电话传播，反正都是不轻易错点的嘛，是吧？在上过说要么这个多的嘛说都是把你那同意，就让俺说可能把路过就那熊了，是他路上前马上去，然后就当俺说这个我这边年龄去，也当是他马上去。反正也好嘛，我这里是几个，我说都是老中去啊，台上公司的这里个老中去啊的，而且过这把年嘞，一年没拿上的，这里钱那个有意思是吧？这里有意思的，这里要我给他看的，说一些老中钱嘛，你往身上，看要嘛的，那是老中钱嘛努力，因为我这把年嘞是讲那是我是不要买，那这我这这里我说其实你个地方说的，现在谈的台上公司养马的话，我这把年嘞钱的。是吧？bon这个对吧？在上bon松干场的，啊，这确实你了，啊，确实你了，我说， 안다 리와 인순가데 맞아 이 샤와라 로디 와 본도가 냐네기 지야게 디쇼 로디 맞아 신다 로요 이 송자 내가 가서 본도가 냐네서 하는데 아니 아주 야 뭐 맞지게 지게 지다 본도가 냐네 지디 야 미지 중 지도마지 지도지자 그디지 상황당데 이 지구를 지나데 이 지구도 이 지구를 같이 뭐 제가 이나 그만 나는 제주고요 제주고요 내대기나야 다 루스 대상 맞어 대상 고소 주는 봐 저거는 뭐도 만도 봐 야 고도 봐 냐네 제가 되나 지다 지역이 니바다 이도 하고 지나 갈래 가고 싶다 와 어디 소자 아마도 뒤지는 가서 shum정 뭐라 로좀 제고리에서 모두 봐 냐네 세워다 다른 shum정 뭐라 로좀 지한테 모두 봐 냐네 다른 와 로스 세워 에 요만 간다
Therefore, we should think about. So we should think that how say we are very fortunate to be able to spend these 2 hours in practicing Dharma. In practicing Dharma through listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma. So probably for some for some who do not study great texts much, for those who doesn't know well how to practice Dharma, the method to practice Dharma, then they might think that how this listening, contemplation, and meditation on the Dharma becomes a Dharma practice. So they might think that I practicing Dharma means that I close my eyes, sit in the Vajra posture, and think about something. Then that is practice. So, and then if we think properly and if we study Dharma, study those great texts before, then we will understand that if we do not engage in listening, if we do not engage in contemplation, it will be very difficult for one to do a proper meditation, which they think that that meditation is a Dharma practice. So, we must study well those great things. We must study great texts, and then we must study them properly and well, because studying Dharma itself, studying those great texts itself, is a Dharma practice, and Dharma practice is not elsewhere. And then as it's Dharma, studying Dharma is here, and then this Dharma is elsewhere. It's not like that. They have to get that. Studying Dharma itself is a Dharma practice.
当我是经过某个学者的，我说被全部了的绿城子，我就紧给几个，说起啥给呢？说那么几啥给呢？我的你不切的不认识，就那么说到你切的不认识，你不下东西切不认呢？下个你不切的不认识，我说我说啥了？切吧给，下东切吧的，没切吧给下东切吧，你说对，切不切不认识，是吧？我切不切不认识。你说啥？这边我这胸前我就是那个铁上功夫的，都是亚麻这个多的，我看到努力打监控上的，就公司强少都有的。另外说是在学校里，你不全部的，就是我这个让你街上的信不多的，你不全部的，别人全部学校的是吧？
So we study study those great texts. So for those who study those great texts, and if they want to accumulate merits, then their accumulations of merits is more powerful, it's more beneficial. And similarly, if they want to purify negativities, then it is more powerful and it is more beneficial. Why do we say that it's more powerful, more beneficial? Is because they know how to practice. They know how to accumulate merits. They know how to purify negativities. So we also study those great texts, and then we also understand how to accumulate merits and how to purify negativities. The proper way to do so. Therefore, we can make it more powerful, and we can make it more beneficial. Especially we start engage in those great texts by listening, contemplating, and meditating all together.
那古代人过去的，经常就是，我们高档的，那么是不用，去经常给不是经常生产的呢，但第是啥吧，开始有的话，是那种是开始有是继续的，把就国内有什么别情况的， 给全部的话是那些我们联络人过去，跟搞到不了嘛，我们联络人过去，给我人去这是，我的联络人过去，起码样不嘛有些，联络，联络，
搞到不了，
搞到不了嘛，
松，
他们联络人过去，那给我人家真是吧。
我们给弄人不去，tapi
jadi jiwa rinci, jadi kita nunggu semua yang maju asih, semua yang maju asih, itu aja bersyukur semua. Nanti ngasuh ini kadang nunggu semua gini aja syukur, cuma jiwa nunggu tapi gini jiwa aja, itu sih. Tak ada, nggak ada mungkin gini jadi, kami jiwa nunggu kita ada gini sesuatu, jiwa saja deh. Tak ada gini nunggu jadi, jemulah sangat maju sih. jiwa jemulah yang ada yang main ngalah aja.
kadang kata kuna rumah ciri.
So, kadang
begitu.
Oh, this is why. Kan sai shi gero la.
Tadi keluar benci.
Oh, to, daga电视我同意看了比较起我的那个起我的，我们叫他这样子的话呢，我们叫啊不去，特别一定切勿到进去，或者一定切勿去叫我咋样的是，那他叫我不去咋成本这个，那什么样我有啥？要什么样我一旦啦，那得了没意思，这搞得那些是不是吧？
Yeah. So probably you have heard this before, especially those senior students, probably you have heard this before. And however, it's very beneficial to talk about it again, and also mainly for those new students to listen to it. It's very beneficial to think about this. So the past Kadambe Lama, they say that, as in my precious, as it, past precious fully ordained monk, due to the precious past fully ordained monk, it bestows, it gives you the current precious rebirth. It gives you the current precious rebirth, and with this current precious, with this current precious fully ordained monk, through this current precious fully ordained monk, do not throw your future to the do not throw your future off the cliff. Yes, I repeat. So due to the past precious fully ordained monk, it gives you current precious rebirth. And with this current with this current precious fully ordained with this current precious fully ordination, do not throw your future off the cliff. Yeah. So I think you get the meaning of it. So due to the past precious fully ordination, it gives you current precious rebirth. With this current precious fully ordination, do not throw your future off the cliff. Yeah, so you get the meaning. So then Geshe-la also say that, I myself is also a fully ordination last month. Yeah. So I'm also a fully ordained monk, and then so means that I have to remind myself that I have this precious rebirth is due to my past self, and upon this basis, I shouldn't throw my future off the cliff. So similarly, this also applies to all of you as well. So due to my past self, I obtained this precious human rebirth in this life, and then with this precious human rebirth, on this good basis of precious human rebirth, I shouldn't throw my future off the cliff.
那个我常常讲的时候，常常叫我们很不急，那电商部去学学吧，你电商部你这些弄的是卡多啊，你去今年把的是叫我们很不急干不急，就我节目了，让嘛有时的让有没chance嘛，把有的是，把有的是，哇。
So whether to throw our future off the cliff or not, it depends on you, and then you have power in your hand right now.
叫节目用我嘛有时，但年度了嘛有了，年度了，叫节目年度了，又要别马上就是马上了，那样嘛有时，样的年度了嘛接对吧？
To throw your future off the cliff means that do not throw yourself into the miserable realm. Another way of saying this is do not accumulate the cause to be born in miserable realms.
这就是了，那种东西很多，写的嘛的那什么去，写的嘛的嘛那些他是吧，写的嘛的那些他，写的写的嘛的那些他，那些多吧，写的上的那些，马上上的那些，路都知道多少吧，路都知道噻，我们说，还有嘛写，那些他是五个人吧，路今年他路那些是把些路那些是不是的，确实啊，他不出去啊，是的，他爬马上坡是不是？有个东西，有那么多，会上网读嘛，这些读嘛的，那说这个把下上面我学有个呢，你读了吧，我学了哇，啊，我说那些那个其实这个嘛的那些他妈的也是，不得，不得。
And Gundam Rinpoche say that the first
那讲的根本就是国产，当然是觉得什么是第一个是吧？
So Gundam Rinpoche say that the first 20 years, then one doesn't remember to practice. And then the middle 20 years, then one thinking to practice. One is only thinking to practice. I want to practice, will practice. And then the next 20 years is spent saying that, oh, it didn't happen. And then our human life is exhausted. Our human life is exhausted in empty. มี些东西写的咯。
就是那那些，这个在他们是东北搞了多少了？
Yeah. So during the first 20 years, then we do not remember to practice Dharma. So unless our parents, our parents are good enough, then to unless we have parents to remind us to practice Dharma. If not, most probably the first 20 years when we are in our early part of our life, then we do not remember to practice Dharma. Then in the middle 20 years, that means that until 20 to 40 years, then we're only thinking to practice. And then, yeah, so I'm going to practice, It remains as a thought. And then from 40 to 60, then we only say that, oh, it didn't happen. So the 20 years, from 40 years old to 60 years old, then we only say that, oh, it didn't happen. So then our human lives is exhausted in an empty manner.
到底看不多，都只知道了是吧？就是你这你做了多呀嘛，做那些做情况的是吧？做那些做情况的，做了什么东西？我这老只见得到在，但现在去了，一些通都学习查查的，通都学习查查是吧？我在这趟都是的，我都去当部的呢，都是吧，就是除了蛮多，结果给情况的是吧
？So these are very precious advice that we have to keep in our mind. Just like the Gundam Rinpoche's saying, when we reach 60 years old, only then we start to this Dharma, then you will be the time, there will be not much time left for us to practice Dharma anymore. So we should keep this in our mind and shouldn't waste any time.
这些当然说对嘛，我就说吧，他这些嘛是底气了，那你没知道你们这些吧，最拿下的数据这些吧，你们嘛最拿下的嘛对吧？不，那你没知道你们吃的，刚才你没知道你们吃的，对嘛？知道对吧？这个呢，
我
现在
干嘛做嘛？ngap怕对那干嘛事？
你这他这个什么？他主要想什么？那今年这些来的话，那今年我就讲早地震啊，别我说老是吧，那情况明了记录是多啊，早的，那等你嘛早地震马上我就是吧，马起码我说就是，地震的节目的地震马上都在经历是吧？那这里知道我说，但我了地震给全部身上，地震我是吧？那但你我说多见了，我真的是来就嘛是。
Yeah. So we spend quite some time, a few classes to talk about these 8 leisures and endowments because of its importance. So it's very important for us to understand 8 leisures and 10 endowments properly. So even though we talk about it for how's it throughout few classes, however, still we can talk about it even further. However, because of the time constraint, then I have no choice to move forward in next class. Then I will move forward to next verse, which is fifth verse. Just as a flash of lightning brightly illuminates for an instant within the clouds on a dark night. So try to read starting from here. Then I will try to cover as many verses as possible in following classes. So, yeah, before we end the class, then if you have any questions, really one or two questions, if you have any. I guess there is no question.
Yeah. 아니, 저 말이고. 그래서 메딩 아주 정말 주지시키려고 이제와 아주 제비 친구가 선바주의 연합 당아서 지나게 기다리고 있는 거 쉬운데와 그래서 다와진 저 버전상 지주제의 대려와 근데 대비 대가라 당아서 주 뭐도 내용과 나 주는 님보다와 나 주는 님보다 가리지 그것도 무엇다 대걸마 주지시오와
So we have these 8 leisures and 10 endowments. Then how to take the essence upon this basis. So I will briefly talk about how to take the essence upon this basis.
그래서 지금 친구가 나한테 봐 놓자게 그런데 그거를 지금 친구가 나한테 봐 있잖아. 선도 동안에 그래서 그거 같은 거도 뭐 장사 와. 와 지금 친구가 선바잖아. 와. 정말 지금 인비가 지금 친구가 선바주의야. 얘랑도 지금 친구가 선바자고 그래서 지금 친구가 선바주의야. 지금 친구가 선바자고 지금 친구가 선바주의야. 그래서 와. 지금 전부의 선배하고 비교하고 정하라. 예. 지금 공의 선배 정하는 게 봐. 그래. 지금 대개서 지금 네개 선배 정하는 거 그래. yes. 좋아. 예. 야부 정배는 다 지금 정보라. 선배 정배는 누가 무슨 소가 차고 해서 와.
So we practice the paths of the great scope. We practice the paths of the great scope, and in order to practice the paths of the great scope fully or in good quality, then we must we must train our mind in the paths of the small and medium scope, which are the branches or methods for us to properly engage in the paths of the great scope.
그래서 또 제가 지금 선배 좋아요. 또 자주 센치데. 그래서 이게 가지고 나와야 돼. 좋아. 여기 센치 그래서 저 가지고 나와야 돼. 얘는 그래서 이제 만들어 봐. 오늘 선배 나가는 말 같이 그래서 가지고 내신 때리 좋아. 좋아.
So first, oneself train in the attitudes of small and medium scope, and which to be the branches of training in the great scope. And then one generates the minds of enlightenment. In other way of saying this is one generates bodhicitta, then train in the deeds of 6 perfections and such as generosity. So this is a brief explanations of how to take the essence.
그 저주주 도마 저주주의 센치 그래서 다시 그래서 와. 하고 때라 도마 저주주의 센치 받이 빈 센치와라 빈 와. 빈 그거를流动的程序性的比如说话那平原的话过的这样哇你现在多少天了哇多少天比起来也是哇不是我
So he says that one must generate the minds of supreme enlightenment and train the deeds of 6 perfections such as generosity. And in order to generate bodhicitta, then one must first understand the benefits of bodhicitta, which is revealed in the first chapter. And by knowing the benefits of generating the minds of supreme enlightenment, it will increases the joy and enthusiastic for generating the minds of enlightenment.
那讲就是你平原的来把上面都是他把给我的 天主给留谈不的给我的也是吧，那讲的什么听，就是他把条的，有他留给我的，这点不的强吧，上嘛也没有。
Yeah, so the benefits of bodhicitta, and through knowing it, increases the joy and enthusiastic for generating it, and is revealed in the first chapter. So I will stop here.
那这点小的话，那我就给做的那种节点吧，就把它多一点，工作讲不清楚，就并且东西东西，就把它留就不是，今年把它修，或者结把它，就是那么什么的，就把它留一点事情，有的配合它，很长的就是能帮出来，你也做好你，他会挺有起来，是吧？那你我是也帮忙用，我的就是话，这个是我的意思。
We conclude with dedication. We dedicate these fruits of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these fruits of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teaching, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long, to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and all the wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. In particular, we dedicate these fruits of virtue to our beloved teacher Geshe Lama Rinpoche. May the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche be swiftly returned and continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of teachings and sentient beings, so that we will have the opportunity to receive the profound teachings from Rinpoche again. We also dedicate these fruits of virtue to the world peace. May excellent happiness prevail in the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic be pacified immediately. Nabe gewa di tendang roa kun la kang de nang ki ma ji sun lo san ra wa yi ten be yin bo rin do se ji shu wo jiang ju sen jo rin bo ji ma ki pa na ki gu ji ji ba nya ma fa yang hu yin kun no be wa shu yang bi pa yin ji da ji ma dang kun do sang bo de yang de yin de de da kun di ji zo da zo ji ju wa de da na ji ra do mo pa de bo ji ma ki pa na ki gu ji ji ba nya ma fa yang kun do be wa shu ji bi da wa de bo ji ma ki pa na ki gu ji ji ba nya ma发扬，不能被外说，一切所都具备了，集结思看见点对对，前浪被莫点进个做拉斯瓦的所见对对多说，看看别人把牛把看见人上面一起都看见准备点进个做拉斯瓦的所对些对多说，把这些别让做路上另外人谁就把这让人心里加油把这边点点别把这边给来作用，左边这边过去，写到这边之间别忘了，那样没顺这边国家先出来，这些老毛说话的天天把。中外国之后，日日听到嘛就做啊，也听到几个这把这边莫诺波喜欢现在一点发展到就是跟着是啥当，这才能就突见老毛见那边这边扬州上边人介绍对这边都是说。公安情况，打电话发给中文的，这个是我的这叫做小事情。